see all the devotees and guests to this auspicious program. Everyone speaks English, Chinese. You can understand. We have some Chinese friends that can translate it for you. I haven't seen them here, but maybe they will come. So, so we begin from auspicious invocation of divine principles of Sri Guru. Like in every culture, whether it's European culture, Middle Eastern, Indian, Chinese, the Shifu, the teacher, the Guru has been respected. It's been overused, exploited by modern media and modern marketing strategy. So word Guru become the business guru, the health guru, this kind of guru, that kind of guru. But if we take a definition of word guru, then we'll find quite interesting meaning in Sanskrit, gu and ru. So one that heavier than Himalayas, it says, gu, one who has weight. So that's why in India, if you're a little fat, you're guru, because you have some weight. But that weight also measure, just like when we're dealing with a hard drive, it's not just the physical size of a hard drive, it's like how many megabyte or terabyte, what's the speed of it. So there are many measurements. So when Sanskrit tells things, it explore different weight or, fulfillment or depth. So guru is not someone who has superficial perception of reality. In fact, guru is somebody who has deep connection with reality. And how deep? Well, just like we know that we're getting internet from the source. So it seems like we have a mobile device, and it seems like, that mobile device is very advanced, but we know if there's no source of data, if there's no transmitter, our mobile device is useless. We can give it to monkey, or we can give to primitive tribe, and they will, pray to it or scratch their back with that. So that's why in the world of superficial reality, word guru has been misused and misunderstood just by, pretty much marketing or superficial perception. So, but what is guru? Who is guru? That is question. Who can we call guru? Because it seems like in order to find truth, we have to define reality. And so the scriptures say, Tasmat gurum prapadita jigyasukshe uttamam shabda para chanishtanam tasmai upasamashayam. Guru is someone who is shabda para chanishtanam, means he is not just the GPT chat or Google, because Google has more information than any guru. GPT chat knows than any guru. In fact, now with certain groups of people, they're using Tibetan or Indian scriptures, and they're sourcing them, they're sourcing them together, they're putting them in artificial intellect, and it appears to be that they're, collecting ultimate data, like spiritual data. Like I've read one article about some people want to put 80,000 Tibetan scriptures into the AI database. And it's good. It's not going to lie to you like GPT chat. In fact, that database will give you very precise answers. But here's another word. Most people don't know how to ask proper questions. Why they can't ask proper question? Because the proper inquiry is art. There's art of inquiry. So if you go to modern AI analysis, they will tell you there's such a profession as a prompt engineer. And a prompt engineer is basically somebody who's supposed to prepare proper inquiry and add into AI. and then accept the data. So that means the guru is not just a source of knowledge. It's somebody who can inquire for you. Because when you come to the school, nobody expects you to be intuitive, talented person. It doesn't work like this. So education is based on ABC system, which actually, if we really look at the modern education, we understand that that system came from ancient Greeks. Nothing, no one changed, no one brought anything new. You know, everybody talk about VR, AR, visual presentations, which is all fine. But the educational system itself that we're using for the last couple thousand years, in fact, has been brought by Greeks, especially Protagoras and other schools of thought, because word academy means, actually we're very much defined by that word at certain moment, because academy is outside of city, a location of nature where students can meet, discuss, and practice together with teachers. So this is the Greek definition of word academy. Academy is territory where people who are willing to learn and the teachers come and meet together. And interestingly, in many Greek dialogues and histories, it's not just sitting in a class, they're walking. It's like you're walking with the master, or in China, you take a tea with the master, or in India, you're meditating with the master. Why is that so? Because it's not just require some silent acceptance of data that you can learn from book. So modern civilization has a big mistake thinking that the written word is very advanced. The Indian civilization explained that Indians had texts for thousands of millions of years, but it was never defined as a perfect way of transmitting data. The perfect way of transmitting data was disciple coming to guru, hearing from him, understanding, grasping his experience, and able to apply this. So many times I've read texts in alchemist, ancient texts, or in mystic yoga, or an aircraft building, or machine building. I have a lot of texts which are pretty much available. They're not hidden. But the thing is, they're written by technical or advanced people in physics or chemistry. You understand, these are not superficial texts. These are texts written by specialists because they use special terminology, way. So you can understand it's built by nerds. But if I give you the book, How to Make an iPhone, you're not going to do it, because it's not just about book, how to make an iPhone. It's about numbers of experienced people. That's why in the microchip industry, the people explain, oh, we want to bring those factories to America, who has the chips, control the world. But what it came into, there are certain people that know how to produce this nano chip technology that you cannot replace. So it came back to the guru principle. It's not the technology, it's not the machine. It's the one who has the wisdom and experience to produce something amazing, something that almost magic or inconceivable. So when we say word guru, it's not some, you know, that's why many, the word guru came to many things like a coach, advisor, counselor, like your personal psychiatrist, your personal, you know, health coach. So word guru actually went to completely different direction. So it's not the coach, it's not the advisor, it's not your, you know, personal assistant. In fact, guru can do all these things. But then we can deviate concept of guru into something mundane. Interestingly, going to Mahabharata and other scriptures, Maharaj, можно это выключить, потому что тяжело говорить и слушать одновременно самого себя. To define the principle of guru, it's very exalted example in Mahabharata. One time, Drona, who was Astra guru, means fighting guru of the king dynasty, received one Nishada prince named Ekalavya. According to Vedic, Nishada means un-Vedic, uncivilized, from uncivilized tribe, but the leader, very ambitious boy. And that Nishada prince came and said, I want to learn martial arts from you. Then, according tradition, he asked him, who are you? Who's your father? From which country you're coming? What's your position? So it was told that I'm coming from such and such tribe. Then Drona, having very deep intelligence, realized if I teach this guy's martial art, he could be enemy of my country in the future. So why do I want to disclose my future possible enemy, my secret techniques? And secret techniques of one story qualified Drona, that he qualified as a student of Parashuram, who is divine warrior in Himalayas. When he exiled his fighting school, long time he didn't want to be hired by anybody, although he was advised by all the kings, because they knew his skills unparalleled. He just been taught by immortals. So immortals taught him fighting art in Himalayas. So he's like one of the real guy who got all the skills. But at a certain point, he had to get married and his child born. And because he was yogic, Brahmana meditator, he reject all the mundane activity. That means his wife had to follow him as a Vedic tradition. And that means in their home, sometimes they had no food. So she powder rice and give her son rice with water as a milk. And the baby drink that, thought this is milk. So one day playing with the kids, some parents invite him to their home and said, hey, here's a glass of milk. And he drank a glass of milk and he realized that this is amazing tasting substance. So he came to his mother, started crying, mother, why you cheat me? Why you give me this white powder in name of the milk? And mother said, actually, I'm sorry. But you have to understand, I completely follow your father who's yogi. And he completely rejects any mundane things. He accepts only one principle. What comes itself, that he will accept. That means if we get food, we eat food. If we don't get food, we don't eat food. So as a baby, I'm giving you, a little stash for your nutrition. But, if you look at your father, sometimes he's fasting by days. And he's accepting this as his destiny. This is quite interesting because in the Western world and modern world, if you're intellectual, if you're smart, you're supposed to go get what you're worth, get paid, get evaluated, explore things. But in the Vedic world, it's a completely different idea. You go to internal plane of consciousness and you are connect with divine source. And this plane that we value as reality is considered to be false and unreal world. It's not that we're not functioning, but yogis and saints, they have minimum function. They don't consider gold as a real treasure. They consider the gold of heart, the quality of the soul, the depth of the mind as real treasure. So for the yogi to tolerate, it's considered to be treasure. So at that time when Drona heard the cry of his wife, he said, that's enough. I could do this on my own, but I cannot do this while I'm responsible for the family. So he went to the king's palace and where the fighting field. So he started walking for the fighting field. At that time, the princes were playing the ball, but they dropped their ball into the deep well, deep dry well. And they could not go into the deep dry well, and they thought, and they didn't know how to take it out. So meanwhile, the ascetic Brahmana appear, like, very muscle, very skinny, very fixed. And he came and said, kids, what's your problem? They said, oh, we lost the ball. It's there. We can't do it. And he said, aren't you kshatriyas? Aren't you warriors? Yes, we are. So then you have to use your weapons and your skills. Oh, how can we use the weapons and skills? We don't have weapons with us and we don't have the skills. And so Drona said, for the real warrior, blade of grass become a weapon. So he picked up the kusha grass. He picked up a bunch of kusha grass, put between his fingers, And he started throwing into the bowl, blade of grass to the blade of grass, and he throw one inside another one until the whole, kind of a stick draw. So he repeatedly throw maybe 200 blades of grass, that pierce one another and pierce the bowl, that has just become like a rope that he pull out the bowl and he give it to them. And everybody was shocked. They could not believe such a skills there exist. So sometimes you see in YouTube, there's a Chinese monk who take a needle, and he take the needle and somebody holding a piece of glass, and that Chinese monk start throwing the needle, and that needle piercing piece of glass without breaking it. And some people say, how is it possible? The bullet will break the glass, but this needle is just piercing glass through. And the answer is, in Shaolin, is very simple. It's the power of chi, of the energy. So, and as you believe that this is not real, but somebody from the Buddhist monk of Shaolin show you, no, it's not real for everybody else, but for me, it's real. So that's why when we talk about real guru, it's not that guru will do something that's real. The guru can show you something that's real, but he can also manifest things that is not real. So Drona, when he've done this, immediately the kids went to the king and they said, oh, there's some skinny brahmana done this. And at that time, Bhishma was the regent. He was junior, older king. And he said, yeah, that's my mate, classmate, Drona. Bring him here. So when they brought him here, he said, I knew you don't want to teach anybody, especially the Kshatriyas, because our guru hate Kshatriyas. Our guru killed them. Remember, Parshuram is incarnation of Vishnu who killed Kshatriyas. And he said, I will teach only Brahmanas. But for some reason, you and I are students, and we're not the Kshatriyas, the bad ones. So why don't you just teach my, grandchildren? And Drona said, yes, but I have one condition. The reason I'm coming to your kingdom, not to enjoy the wealth. I have one son, and I want my son to be treated equally with the prince, so then I can teach all, including my son. Then Bhishma looked at him and he said, inside of Kshatriya, the king, is big ego. Like, I can never treat your son as a king. It's not possible. But because Bhishma was very spiritual, deep man, he said, it's not deal. Here's the deal. We will not treat your son as a king. We will treat your son better than king. We'll treat your son as a son of guru, as a guru. So that your son, when he will be with our grandchildren, the princess, always they will recognize him as a Brahmana and guru. And the reason I'm telling you all these stories, that you understand how important, even in the world of wealthy and powerful, what the guru meant for them at that time. Then when Drona met that prince, he rejected that prince. He said, I cannot teach you. So the prince was very disturbed, and he went into the forest. He built Murti, the picture, statue of Drona, and he started praying to Drona every day, to his statue. And he started practicing martial arts, especially, Vedic bow, which is topmost art. As a professional archer myself, I understand how deep it is, because I've been practicing, sometimes daily hours, and it's all cognitive. It's a subjective thing. So he started praying and shooting, praying and shooting, praying and shooting. And eventually his techniques, his hand draw, his speed techniques, his subjecting follow the targets start coming to him. So one time Drona and Arjuna were hunting in the forest, and the dogs were barking. Some wild dogs started barking. And when Arjuna heard the dogs, he said to Drona, these barking dogs will scare the deers. The deers will run away. We can't hunt them. Then they saw those barking dogs, And suddenly they saw how arrows came to the mouths of the dogs between their teeth and stopped them barking. And when Arjuna and Drona, who were experts of archery, saw this, Arjuna looked at Drona and said, that could be only done by you, me, or somebody who learned from you. But you promised me I will be the best master. You promised me you're not going to teach secret techniques to anybody else. But it seems like somebody revealed our secrets. So they're coming to that, cave-like, not cave-like, some kind of environment. And they saw, hut with the temple where the murti, incense burning, and they saw some very austere guy who's looked like ascetic, wrapped in a skin and number of weapons. And they saw how this guy practicing everyday martial art, he does his discipline every day. He fight with imaginary warriors and shoot here, there. And Arjuna said, like, this guy knows everything we know better than us. How is that possible? So they come to him, and he immediately fall down, and he said, oh, teacher, I'm so happy to see you. Then Drona said, how come I'm your teacher? Who are you? He said, 5 or 10 years ago, you reject me, but I did not reject you. So I went to this place and I built your murti and I made my ashram. I accept the same vow as you, and I start practicing. And every day I pray and meditate on you. And all this knowledge that you see came to me. And Drona was shocked. He said, show me. And he showed me his own temple. He showed him his own murti. And he showed him his own things. And he showed him everything he does. And eventually Drona understood, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I learned from my teacher and from God's. So then Drona thought, this guy is very dangerous. So he told him an interesting thing. He said, yes, you're right. By power of Guru, you receive all the knowledge. But according to scriptures, the knowledge only compete by Guru Dakshina. You have to give the Guru gift. You can't just take from Guru. You have to give to the Guru. What's your Guru gift to me? So this boy said, here I am. I don't have anything. But what is that you want? Then Drona thought, and he said, I need your thumb. Because thumb finger is the key principal finger of drawing the bow. So he thought, I will limit this guy. So Ekalavi immediately cut his own thumb and gave to the king, Drona, and Drona said, okay, now we're complete. Interestingly, Madhvacharya, who's the deep of Mahabharata, he gave insight on this story. He said, Drona done this for principle of politics and the principles that he promised to Arjuna, that Arjuna become the best. But in his cold heart, at that very moment, when this guy sacrificed his thumb, he really accepted him as disciple. So he had second visit to him. Without Arjuna, without a royal guru. And he came to him and he said, you are really my disciple. I have many king disciples, and they're okay. But none of them as qualified as you are towards your dedication, heart giving, belief, daily worship. So although I cut your thumb for political reason, I'm giving you blessing. And he said, you should not participate in this war because it's going to be war. The reason I cut you off, because, or if you will be participate, you should be killed by Arjuna. He give him like instructions, but eventually he transfer all the knowledge, give him all the blessing, and accept him as his son. That's why, so some people in Mahabharata, they think, oh, just Drona cut his finger. But Madhvacharya explained, no, it was superficial. He said the depth of the story is both the guru and disciples deeply connect, and the guru I'm accepting you as you accept me, and there's eternal connection between you and I. So the reason I told this story, because we have some guests, but it's also good for us to listen that once we connect with Guru on real spiritual level, this is not some temporarily physical thing where Guru is, Guru might be has glasses, he cannot see things, or he may not understand how to use computer. I'm a better computer user. So one time, one of the Srila Prabhupada disciple came and said, "You telling me about Guru is perfect, but when you're translating Sanskrit, that disciple was Sanskrit scholar, professor. Again, by Prabhupada grace, Prabhupada sent him to learn academic Sanskrit. He said, when I see your Sanskrit translations, I see many mistakes you do, because Prabhupada was not a Sanskrit scholar, but he knew meaning. But he was not the best in grammar, because Sanskrit has very precise grammar. So Prabhupada said to him, so yes, I told you Guru is perfect, but this is not the perfection that you think it is. It's not the physical, superficial perfection. I know the meaning by heart of the slokas. When so many qualified, scholars, they can't understand meaning of Vedas. Yeah, they can read Sanskrit without, a mistake, but they don't have a heart for the spiritual knowledge, because my spiritual knowledge live in my heart. Their knowledge live in their brain as information. Remember, this is GPT, this is false. The soul seat is true. So in this case, second time, Prabhupada was chastised by driving from Mayapur, his temple, passing Chaitanya Mat, where there were a Samadhi memorial of his guru. Some people who were jealous to him because he did big international preaching and brought all the Western people to India. Some of these Indian monks, they said, look at this arrogant guru. He thinks he's so arrogant. He's driving his car, passing the memorial, the Samadhi of his guru. He's not even coming out. He's just stopping and, from car giving his dandavats. So some Western people, American people, came to Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, we heard that, this Indian gentleman's monks, they chastise you. He said, what is their chastisement? He said, well, they said that you are arrogant. You have no enough faith and devotion to stop over your guru memorial and go give him pranam, the respect. Prabhupada listened to this and he said, yes, that's true. I could not stop at my guru memorial because at the time I was driving the car, my guru was sitting on my front seat. My guru is not physical thing. I have internal spiritual dialogue with my guru all the time. So when I have internal dialogue with my guru, I give respect from distance to his bodily form, to his memorial. But those monks who criticize me, they only see guru as memorial, something dead. What I see guru is something living, divine, and substantial. And that is the difference. And that was shocking revelation. Remember, because revelation not come when you want, where you prepare. Revelation come at the time of stress or anxiety or pain. So that's why pain, stress, is anxiety in drama, in storytelling, is necessarily for the catharsis. Like if the hearer does not fit any obstacles, he's not a hearer. The hearer revealed just by going through obstacles and transferring by dealing with obstacles. And sometimes this is not just taking this in ordinary way, just like Prabhupada. It was not ordinary question. He said, yes, they're right, because they see Guru is there. That's right. If you see Guru is there, then you go give your full dandavat, you pray to Guru. But if you have internal dialogue with Guru, if you remember his thoughts, his words, his instructions, then he's not something physical for you. He's not some kind of a dead matter. In fact, he's dynamic expansion of consciousness, because we're living in a world of consciousness and media of consciousness. So the reason I'm explaining these things for myself, for the guests, for the devotees, that today we have departure day of our guru, Srila Govinda Maharaj, who, according my, I hope I have that vision sometimes, perception, is not left this world. He left the physical body. Remember, we all have to leave our physical body as the soul. We continue our journey. And Krishna said quite interestingly in Bhagavad Gita, he said, Arjuna, I remember all my lives. You don't even remember what happened yesterday. All right. So I'm fully aware of my, eternal existence. And you don't even remember who you are when you wake up in the morning after a couple of beers, at least that's what happens to me. Bhakti Lalita, she's more aware because she follows very strictly. She doesn't drink beer. That's why when she wake up, she's like, okay, that's me. I'm just joking. I'm just trying to say that there are many different levels of awareness in this world. And people intoxicated, not just by intoxication, they intoxicated by their social roles, the husband, the wife, the friend, the partner, the American or Chinese. So that's how they once you start watching news, you are like become American or Chinese. Once you start dealing with your wife, you have to become a husband. Once you're dealing with your job, then you have to become a plumber or, salesman. So you always have to change your different identities. And in the midst of your different identities, most people losing, I am the spiritual soul. So that's why when devotees wake up at the moment, he immediately remember Krishna and Guru, because you have to constantly remind yourself who you are really in this world. And that's why when we say today's departure of the Guru, it's part of our own life drama, meeting the teacher, being with the teacher, and separating with the teacher. But really, from spiritual level, Guru and Krishna never depart. It's just like your mother is always your mother. Even when you become 80 or 70, your mother. Once I saw amazing short video at the court, the judge speaking with 91-year-old gentleman, and he said, you have a speed ticket, what can you say? And this 91-year-old gentleman telling, I was rushing to hospital because my son had heart attack. And the judge said, what age you are? He said, I'm 91. What age of your son? 65. And the judge stood up and he said, as a father, I bow down to you that at age of 91, you're risking driving. Not only you took the car, is you put your life at risk to save life of your son. So your case is dismissed. And, a lot of people that watch this video, they comment, they cry. And really, that's what reality is. Your father is always your father. It doesn't really matter how old you are, you're still a baby. Your guru is always your guru. It doesn't matter, are you a good disciple, you're a bad disciple, you're perfect, you're non-perfect. You're always disciple. So sometimes when people, get away from their spiritual life and, they get back into trouble and misery of this world, they think, oh, I can't go back to my spiritual community because I, messed things up. I've done so many things wrong. That might be true. But in a deep way, in a deep sense, you will be always under the merciful, kind presence of your guru, if you like it to have connections with such that represent this in full potential. So when we talk about Srila Govinda Maharaj, in our line we have many, wonderful monks and teachers like Hrishikesh Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, Srimati Bhakti Lalita, Janardhan Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj. They're all amazing. And if you really look at them, Madhusudan Maharaj, they all have unique spiritual qualities. Some of them very sharp and intellectual approach to the scriptures. Some of them are great community leaders and organizers. Some of them, like Janardhan Maharaj, has amazing tongue. They speak very sharp. They know how to joke, and they know how to work with people. Some of them, like Madhusudan Maharaj, they're very gentle and they represent like a perfect gentleman. and kindness and wellness and care about people. So when you meet them, you feel that they really care about you. They're really concerned about your well-being, spiritual well-being. So all these people are partially like a stars. They represent the Guru. But for us, I'm not saying for everybody else, because those who knew Srila Govinda Maharaj was like more than just a star. He was more like a moon. Why moon? Why not sun? Because sun is the source, and Govinda Maharaj never accept himself as a source. He never said, you know what, I'm the source of scriptures, I'm the source of knowledge. No, he always said, my teacher is like a sun, and I'm reflecting. But remember, the number one reflector in this universe, not the stars, is the moon. Why moon? Because according to Vedas, moon does also affect your mind. So moon by itself, reflecting sun, light of the sun, by the alchemical power, alchemy, moonlight is nourishing medicine, minerals, stones, vegetables, fruits, etc. So that's why the question always comes in alchemy, did this plant or mineral was exposed to moonlight? So remember, when we live and actively moving, according to alchemy, we should get the sun energy. But when we sleep and recharging, what is recharging us? The moon energy. So the moon is actually an interesting way, it's something that recharges our battery once we unplug from this reality. Therefore, we can say the Guru, yes, the sun is Krishna, but who is the moon? Who can reflect that light and energy and convert into something nourishing and sweet, life-giving, divine spiritual substance that can nourish our subconscious plane. Because remember, on the conscious plane, we live in objective reality. But Guru is not only dealing with us from conscious plane of objective reality. In fact, if you really look at the scriptures and story of the Gurus, in fact, our tradition, so somebody asked Guru Maharaj, yeah, when 500-600 years ago, all these exclusive divine personalities came, how do they transfer Krishna consciousness? So if you start reading Chaitanya Charitamrita in our scriptures, you see that some people been exposed to absolute pure devotion by touch or by look. So that's called Shaktipat in tradition, in Indian tradition. Shaktipat means that Guru give you initiation by look, or Guru give you initiation by touch, touching your third eye. But according Tantra, Yoga, Veda, that Guru must have that prana. He must have that power within. If I start touching everybody, people may get like, hey, please don't touch me. I'm going to call police, especially the ladies. So interesting, when we went to Hindu Congress in Bangkok, they brought Amma, who is like South Indian lady, and she's like doing this, Shaktipat. Yeah, she's hugging people. But people don't understand what she does. So my friend Sridhar, the Bhakti Fest organizer, a great yogi type of guy, from 1970s and 60s, very old yoga community member. He told me, hey, Swami, I introduce you with Amma Swamis and I introduce you with Amma. Please wait and we call you. So then they call me, and organically I came in front of her. She looked at me, and somebody told her, oh, this is because like 1,000 people lying, so it wasn't like exchange. So she said, yes, come. And she touched me. And normally when she touched people, they fainted, they start crying. A lot of people expose different exposures. So she touched me, and I sense incredible power, but not the power that we cultivate, not the prana that we cultivate in path of devotion. So after that, the Swamis that were accompanying her, because they were supposed to talk to me, they said, "Hey, please, please come." And I asked him, "Is she a Makali Bhavatarani devotee?" She said, "Yes." And I understand she has incredible power of Makali. Makali means female expansion of universal mother in a very powerful way. Like in Tantra, she's one of the most powerful female deities after 10 Mahavidyas. But that energy was so clear to me, that super powerful energy, charging, but not energy of love and devotion of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Govinda Maharaj, he also used to hug us. And I remember when I would come from, certain place and come to India, and he would call me and hug me. And I can never forget that energy of hug, of loving energy. And that energy was not as powerful as Amma from point of like physical, mental, because when Amma hug you, it's like basically you're something between like fire and waterfall. Like you immediately sense, like, she's got this chi or prana that all your chakras like vibrate. So, and that's why many people fainted or cry, because immediately she opens some channels that are stuck. So you can understand that's normally developed by yogic ascetic practices, and especially worship, especially by Kali Tantra or Durga Tantra, or chanting Durga Kali Kavacha. There are techniques where you basically in Tantra connect with goddess. So the basic idea is this: when you chant the goddess mantra and you meditate on goddess divine form, the goddess enter you. So remember, it's not like you, it's the goddess enter you. You become basically the empty cup for the goddess. So goddess enter you and you are like acting on behalf of goddess. So it's very common in South India. There are particular temples where you go there and there's a goddess murti, and there'll be like pujari. He will hold a sword and he will hold a bengal, and he would like this in trance, and he starts speaking to you. And fact, it's a fact, the goddess starts speaking to me in English. When the pujari came back to his normal situation, I asked my friend, does she speak English? She said, no, Tamil and Malayali. But when the goddess spoke to me, he spoke in English. So I said, like, yeah, goddess knows very good English. It's not like Indian English. It's not like, hello, I'm too much happy to see you. No, she spoke in very perfect English. And interestingly, see, also when goddess talk to you, she will begin to tell you things that you're hiding, because everybody hiding something. So when goddess in the South Indian temple starts speak to you, she reveal you the hidden things that within you. So at that moment, you understand it's not some kind of a thing. It's just like she'll tell you, like, hey, you just hiding, $1,000 from your wife. You're like, well, please don't tell where. Like, you understand? So the reason it happens because the goddess, she wants to show you that this is not some kind of a trick. It's really divine things. So that's why in tantric concept, they don't think mantra it's some kind of a sound. They think mantra is representation of the deity. They don't say, oh, the deity is just a figure. This is for materialist. They say, no, this is representation of divinity on the vibration that we can understand. See, it's not when so it's not, you don't have like dolls or deities or statues. You have Krishna here, but he appeared to you in a way that you can see him, because he can also appear in mantra, in invisible form, in the heart of devotee. There's many ways Krishna can appear. So the reason I'm telling you all these wonderful, interesting, esoteric stories, that we can understand Guru, it's a simple principle. He can externally appear to you as a human being, but somebody who are just like the Amma, she become the container for the divine. So Guru, it's not somebody who has a lot of knowledge. That is not the definition of highest Guru. Or guru is not somebody who knows how to make asana or chant. That is definition of beginner guru, neophyte guru. The true guru is a container who fully empty himself from his own ego perspective and allow the divine play to fill him with divine current. And he distributing this divine current according one capacity to receive. It's like, in China, they give you a little cup of tea, not big one. Why? Because, you have to learn how to enjoy things one by one. You can't just drink it like a coffee, like, oh, let me take this cup. It's not going to work with you. It's one by one. And the tea, the high quality tea, will not reveal immediately. According time, tea will reveal itself. So guru is just like this Chinese tea master. He's not going to give you all the knowledge. Okay, you take all the knowledge. No, he will give you the inspiration. And as that knowledge will be appreciated and received by you, you will have incredible revelation. So when one time I was in China and they invite us for dinner, they brought and it was very wealthy people. They brought like $5,000 wine from Italy. And I said, I'm sorry, we don't drink wine and we eat only vegetarian food. So this gentleman was an old gentleman, big developer. He really liked yoga, spiritual things. He respect. He said, okay, what can I give you? What do you drink? I said, I'm just drinking Chinese tea. I'm happy with that. And, he called his driver. And after some time, after we ate, the driver brought big bag of 1980 pu'er that was 40 years old pu'er tea. And, we drank it and we felt amazing. And it was high quality tea. And it revealed by, it's like it did everything for everybody. Everybody were happy. And then, after we drink this pu'er, he gave that back to me. He said, that's for you. I said, this is for me. And I assume it's maybe like a couple $1,000s or more. I said, thank you. And he says, yeah, please take it, give to your friends. So I went from China to Italy, to the festival in Italy. And I thought, what can I share with my Italian Western friends? Then I thought, well, I've got this bag of pu'er. So I get the devotees together after a program and lunch, and I said, I'm going to give you the most amazing Chinese tea. And everybody were very excited. And when I give the pu'er tea and everybody tested, it's like a first time smoke weed, you're coughing. Or like first time you drink alcohol, the baby drink alcohol. And my realization were, nobody could appreciate this except me, because I'm a Chinese tea drinker. And people had no idea what I'm giving to them. And I was like, okay. So I'm keeping my pu'er tea, coming to Moscow to our spiritual yoga center. And in Russia, the tea culture is very recognized. So there are a lot of people drink pu'er. In fact, Hrishikesh Maharaj, he drink pu'er every day. And everybody had relish in this tea and love it. So what is the meaning of that story? The meaning of that story is, if Guru give you something super high, but you don't have the taste and appreciation to relish this high consciousness, you may not even get it. So what we as a students, as a disciples trying to do, we're trying to relish and appreciate the teachings of Guru and his kind, sweet words, which basically, in many of the cases, we most likely will fully or partially realize by end of our physical life. So to think, oh, I had a guru, he died, or my guru told me something, but the world of change, that's pretty mundane. To think guru is a divine revelation that at certain moment touched me. But now my duty is to be in constant connection with that current and seeing how that guru acting from this person, that person, other person, even how the guru coming in negative things, because it's like we learn a lot of things from negativity, not from positivity. That's called spiritual vision. So when we talk about departure of Srila Govinda Maharaj, I spoke to Narasimha Maharaj and Hrishikesh Maharaj. I said, that's not an open festival. Like you don't bring new guests and you don't start telling him, oh, you know, like my very beloved relative and he died. And he'll say, I'm sorry for that, but you know, I have nothing to do with your beloved relative because I have my beloved relative that almost dying or so. So that's why when you talk about guru as a vapu, as a personal thing, it's a very personal for disciples who had relationship with guru. But when you talk about guru as a spiritual divine principle, that day is important for everyone, because the way spiritual reality work is that you will connect with something divine, and that divine withdraw you, just like a mother withdraw from baby and let the baby make the move. And what's important is not just, you know, mother thought to the baby. It's important what baby understood and what next move he's making. So therefore, today, we can say the gurus never disappear, number one. Second, we have to be in constant dialogue with guru. Number two, we should see his lovely smiling face behind everything, including bad things. Like, you know, when we're doing something wrong, when the baby putting fingers on fire, mama say, hey, hey. And you say like, oh mother, why you didn't stop me? Yeah, I didn't stop you because if you wouldn't feel the hot, you know, and the next time you would put your hand into it or your head into it, unless you're Mystic Yogi. So that's why today, I'm sorry to give a very long, very deep lecture, may not connect with directly with Srila Govinda Maharaj. But one thing I can say, this is what I spoke today directly applied to our divine teacher, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and his direct disciples, like we have Srimati Bhakti Lalita. She was for over 20 years his secretary. She had to deal with him personally. Or Goswami Maharaj, who were his spiritual assistant. Anytime Srila Govinda Maharaj would forget some slokas or things, Goswami Maharaj would remember that. But it does not mean that Govinda Maharaj forget everything. He would give the chance to Goswami Maharaj to recall spiritual things. So one time, some devotee asked Govinda Maharaj some question. Oh, why, you know, everybody went to war and Uddhava went to Himalayas? And that person said, oh, Avadhut Maharaj, you ask Govinda Maharaj. I said, why you asking me? He said, because Govinda Maharaj loves you. Anything you ask him, he will answer. Because many times I would came to Govinda Maharaj and said, can I ask you a stupid question? He said, yes. See, because I would never admit my questions are deep, profound, they're intellectual, or they're spiritual. Sometimes I ask Gurudev stupid question. He said, can I ask a stupid question? I said, he said, yes. And I said, that devotee asked me that question about Uddhava, why everybody else went to war with Krishna, and Uddhava, who's very dear servant of Krishna, went to Himalayas. Why not to Vrindavan? Why not to other holy places? And interestingly, Govinda Maharaj looked at me and he said, I forgot. Like, you knew, you forgot? He said, I forgot. And like, when he looked at me, he said, I forgot. Then he tried to like remember and knock his head, like, I can't remember. And he like, at certain moment, he's like, unplug, stop breathing, and went to his inner plane. And maybe spent like 1 minute. And then he come up and start speaking. And he gave like mind-blowing revelation, and I didn't have any recorder or anything. And then I understood that it's not his, you know, physical memory of 80 years old, you know, person. It's something that he's mining in a, like, Bitcoin, you have to mine in the court of his divine heart and coming up with a fresh, new, and deep. So that's all I want to say. So we have Srimati Bhakti Lalita. Maybe she should say something as a prime disciple. They can also say, because we have, remember, in the evening, we're going to have a Russian speaking program. That's why let you speak and then they will speak. Sorry that I took over the mic, but you know the rules in India. Don't give mic to Indians. Take it away. That's the rule. You give the mic, they will speak forever.
Goswami Maharaj. Well, I didn't prepare anything. This is a bittersweet occasion where we saw the sun set right before our eyes. So many of us were there with Srila Gurudev, knowing that his manifest pastimes were coming to a close. And Avadhut Maharaj and Janardhan Maharaj and Ashram Maharaj, all of our prominent guardians and devotees, senior devotees and junior devotees, everyone stayed at his feet after Gaur Purnima, knowing that his departure would come. And I was remembering that on that year, it was 2010, during the month of March. It's because we're on the lunar calendar, we're now in April, but that time was earlier. The day of Gurudev's disappearance was missing from the calendar. It was a wall calendar, Indian wall calendar, and there was a 25, I think it was the 26th of March or 27th. That date was missing. 25, 27, 28, 26 was missing. That day was missing from the calendar. And we thought it was just some typo. Then we realized this day was unmanifest. It was the day, Tirobhav Titi means the day that a great soul unmanifests themselves. They withdraw from our vision and they become unreachable on a physical, tangible level. And many of us were there watching this, seeing Gurudev on his own terms, withdrawing, unmanifesting himself from this world. And like the Brahmin Pandit he was, fully versed in astrological calculations, always concerned with the right time, the auspicious time, day after Ekadashi, Dwadashi, during Brahma-muhurta, he chose that time to leave this world. And like a yogi, controlling his breath and withdrawing. And it was something like out of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, something extraordinary, seeing his departure. And all these auspicious personalities came to his veranda, people we'd never seen before. Some of us thought maybe some like sages and rishis and Brahmin wives of the gods are all coming to his veranda. And taking him to Navadvip, help came from everywhere to make his samadhi. And just as the tradition goes, the samadhi must be complete before sunset. That's exactly how Gurudev's samadhi was given. And as the tulsi was placed on top of his samadhi, above his head, Pushpa Brishti fell. Pushpa Brishti is a term when the sun is shining, and at that moment the sun was setting. Tiny, tiny drops of rain came and fell and watered his tulsi plant. And said, like gods throwing flowers from the sky. Was extraordinary the way he left. It was dumbfounding. And as he said, on my disappearance day festival, he said, I will be sitting in the tree watching what they're going to prepare for me. What kind of food are they going to offer me on my disappearance festival? He used to talk about this again and again because he was the king of foodies, what I call him. He was very much skilled in the culinary arts of cooking and spicing, and he had exquisite taste buds, and he knew all about Bengali cuisine, and he was very adventurous with his what he would honor and accept from the devotees, all kinds of new, as his servant would say, new food. Bring some new food with you. He'd always tell devotees who are coming from the West, bring something new for Gurudev to taste. So, and he told, when I'm leaving this world, I'm going to watch what they're going to offer me, and I'm going to sit and make my arm extend and pluck a lotus from the Tulsi munch. Remember, around Tulsi, there's white lotus flowers. He said, I'll stretch my arms and pick the lotuses. And he would, somewhat joking, but showing like he's still watching and accepting our offerings. And he's transitioned out of this physical manifestation and very much with us on a more subtle level. He had his transcendental humor, but there was always truth to everything in all of his humor. And he gave us more than enough for one lifetime to be sustained with blessings, with teachings, with knowledge, with training, how he wanted us to serve and to be instruments, become Vaishnavas, and to be his true followers. He showed us by example with all of his humility, tolerance, giving honor, his love, his affection. He instilled this in everyone. And it's more than enough for us to be sustained for the rest of our lives. So we witnessed and received connection to a raga Vaishnav, an actual paramahamsa, a natural paramahamsa, as Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami said of him, that Srila Govinda Maharaj is a natural paramahamsa. That is a very rare thing, coming in touch with someone of that caliber. And that connection is still alive and well, thriving through the transparent medium of the hearts of his disciples and followers, like Srila Avadhut Maharaj, like Srila Nrsimha Maharaj, like Rishikesh Maharaj, like Goswami Maharaj, like Madhusudan Maharaj and Janardhan Maharaj and Ashram Maharaj, and all of our guardians around the world. Gurudev left us in their care, and all of his disciples and followers and great-grandchildren. Now we have a new generation. They're all connected to the same line. So this ideal, this example that we have from our Gurudev, it's our duty and responsibility to keep that front and center of our existence, and to have integrity in our spiritual practice, and to try to extend that to whoever we meet, even strangers. We are examples. We are going out in the world, doing things, coming across people, and they're coming in touch with Srila Gurudev through us. So we have this chance to be transparent mediums in our own right. We can channel his grace and extend it to others. And that is our duty, actually. So this is a very sober day, and we observe this with great care, with great attention, honoring this day as the day the sun set. The great soul, like Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, the great souls like him, they don't take birth and they don't die. They appear and they disappear, like the rising and the setting of the sun. So by remembering him and his name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes, we hope he will smile down upon us and be with us always, and never let us forget him. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Tirobhav Titi Mahahutsav ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Srila Bhakti Avadhut Maharaj ki jai. Go Premanande.
Time we're going to have a lecture in Russian. I mean, there's a lot of people watching it. I think now we move to practical. Вечером мы по-русски будем говорить. We'll start doing Pushpanjali, and evening time we will speak. We want to appreciate everybody who's watching with the translation directly from different parts of the world. We're super happy to have Narasimha Maharaj, Hrishikesh Maharaj, Srimati Bhakti Lalita, Srila Goswami Maharaj with us. They're exalted followers of Srila Govinda Maharaj, have a personal connection with him, personal blessings, especially Srila Srimati Lalita Devi. She's been his personal assistant for over 20 years, staying with him in India, being his personal secretary, learning a lot about being in connection with divine personality and being witness of many spiritual pastimes that Srila Gurudev revealed in this world. And of course, we had assist him in his travel and preaching programs and see his kind heart in dealing with others on an incredible level that we cannot find anybody in this world with such a transparent ego, soft nature, forgiving nature. But again, that's maybe once in a lifetime when you meet a great personality, but the rest of it is your inner, developing, just like in this Mahabharata story. From the Murti of Drona, Ekalavya become a great warrior. So to think like if I just sit next to Guru and watch him like a dog does not make you a great follower. What great you make follower is your inner heart connection. So to maintain this connection, we have to offer our service. So flowers are not something physical. In the spiritual exchange, flower is something we charge with our consciousness and we offer. Because there has to be some physical object in between exchange. Like, we give somebody a glass of water, cup of tea. But if we charge this with our heart, that's become something of different nature, and the reception will be, acceptance will be also different nature. So it's not like we're giving to Guru some physical objects and we're worshippers of idols, and a Guru really like the flowers, like, or ego. No, it's like put your heart, put your love into the object, offer it, and your remuneration will come from that plane. So let's do it. So Jai Guru Maharaj, Jai Jai Gurudev Arati Ujjvala. Anantadev, Jai Jai Gurudev Arati Ujjvala, ты поешь. Jai.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Arati Ujjvala. Jaya Jaya Gurudev Arati Ujjvala. Govardhana Pada
So now we have an